It's a new edition of the Bigfoot Journal, your twice-monthly Bigfoot news update. What happened and what's ahead in Bigfoot research and news, only on the Untold Radio Network. The Bigfoot Journal is now. With your host, Mike Luci.
And it's that time. Happy New Year, everyone, and thanks for tuning into episode 10 of the Bigfoot Journal, your twice-monthly review of what happened and what's ahead in the Bigfoot world. If it's your first time joining us, let me tell you how this works. We sweep the internet twice a month, highlight the top Bigfoot reports and news stories, and share our findings in a fast-paced 30-minute time frame. Here are this episode's top stories. Could humans be a hybrid species? One geneticist has a pretty controversial theory on why that could be the case. But you'll find out one unique way this bizarre viewpoint could be a resourceful tool that puts the spectrum of Bigfoot beliefs into perspective. With winter officially underway, we're listing 5 of the most compelling and well-documented potential Bigfoot trackways. You'll get the backstories behind each one and what they might reveal about alleged Bigfoot behavior. Plus, our You Decide has an update on last episode's thermal drone footage that you don't want to miss. We got a lot to cover in the next half hour, so let's cut to the chase because we are hitting the ground running in 2025.
Bigfoot in Science is now.
So before we get to our lead story, I really need to emphasize, you might need to bear with us on this one because I promise you we're going to bring things full circle. There is a recent article published on the site called boingboing.net. And again, here's why you might have to stay with me. Because this article, it examines a bold claim suggesting that humans could be a hybrid species as a result of interbreeding between chimpanzees and pigs. So again, just hear me out because this segment isn't about the plausibility of this theory, but why it actually can be used as a tool that challenges the core beliefs of both Bigfoot believers and skeptics. The theory comes from geneticist Eugene McCarthy, who spent much of his career studying hybridization in animals. McCarthy organized his research on a website called macroevolution.net, which outlines McCarthy's hypothesis that human origins may stem from hybridization. The boingboing.com article cites 2 main parts of McCarthy's theory. It highlights major differences between humans and other primates, like our relative hairlessness and protruding noses, differences in gait, and a number of anatomical features. Now, given the genetic distinctions and millions of years in evolutionary separation, it's highly unlikely that chimps and pigs could successfully reproduce. However, McCarthy seems to emphasize that this outcome is extremely improbable, if not impossible. His research uses this metaphor as justification. If you throw 1 million monkeys and 1 million typewriters for 1 million years, you'll eventually get Shakespeare. Equivalently speaking, if you throw 1 million chimps and 1 million pigs, well, you get the point. This segues into the second major aspect of McCarthy's argument. He believes infertility between 2 different animals is not absolute, but more chance-based. Existing hybrids, like mules for example, are largely believed to be infertile. But in actuality, there are rare cases of mules getting pregnant. Now, to start connecting the dots, the boingboing.net article is actually based on a November 2023 essay from atvbt.com, which sheds light on a greater purpose for this theory. It doesn't focus on the chimpanzee-pig hybrid theory being true, but believes it can be used as an instrument for encouraging people to be less reactive when faced with outlandish ideas, namely ones that challenge long-held beliefs. The 2023 essay notes how McCarthy's hypothesis is a great way to experience what it's like having a long-held belief refuted. It basically wants you to briefly believe in McCarthy's chimp-pig theory just to see what it feels like. Any discomfort it generates can simulate what you might experience if one of your coexisting beliefs ever gets toppled by a deep foundational truth. So I suppose it doesn't hurt to be prepared. The article also mentions how this exercise sheds light on one's degree of belief. It notes how your options aren't restricted to outright believing or rejecting something like the chimp-pig hypothesis. Instead, you can make a marginal shift from 0% to, say, 10%. Alright, so I'll start bringing things full circle. Maybe some of you are probably realizing how the context we're discussing this theory ties into Bigfoot. It applies to both ends of the belief spectrum, from avid believers to bitter skeptics. Believers, for example, may hold strong, sometimes zealous convictions of Bigfoot's existence, while skeptics, on the other hand, might dismiss any notions outright. Here's how this theory comes into play. This practice could encourage believers to critically assess the quality and reliability of their stance, allowing them to form a more refined understanding, while skeptics can gain a clearer, more relatable perspective on these persisting beliefs by considering the cultural and psychological factors at play. This exercise can also address cognitive bias. It might help believers form more objective methods by recognizing how it influences the ways they interpret ambiguous evidence. Skeptics who briefly analyze the prospect of Bigfoot's existence through a believer's lens can find more constructive avenues to dissect these viewpoints. Let's also consider how this practice encourages open-mindedness. Believers could become more accepting of alternative explanations, like misidentifications or hoaxes. Skeptics can avoid the immediate dismissal of potential findings by understanding why unexplained phenomena encourage scientific inquiry. Lastly, this exercise is capable of promoting scientific literacy in the Bigfoot field by helping both sides critically assess claims and doubts of Bigfoot's existence that lead to more engaging, informed discussions. These two pieces we covered demonstrate how the chimp-pig hybrid theory can help us gain a stronger sense of relatability and understanding on opposing viewpoints. The application of critical thinking and self-reflection this practice promotes could allow both sides of the Bigfoot argument to form clearer, more informed perspectives. Overall, it's capable of facilitating more refined, meaningful discourse on the subject and might bring us significantly closer to acquiring the necessary pieces we need for solving this mysterious puzzle.
Bigfoot in history is now.
With the winter season in full swing, we expect to see a jump in photos and videos of alleged Bigfoot tracks. Since many researchers believe prints are among the strongest examples of potential evidence, we thought it would be a good time to highlight 5 of the most compelling and well-documented Bigfoot trackways. These alleged trackways are said to show certain consistencies in each print, possibly even details about potential Sasquatch behavior and locomotion. But before we start, here's a quick disclaimer. This segment is solely intended to summarize the backstory and details of each trackway. It's not meant to take an official stance on the authenticity of these trackways or Bigfoot's potential existence. We'll let the viewer decide which ones are fake, real, or misidentified. Starting us off are the Laird Meadow prints. They were discovered in October 1963. The prints were found by Pat Graves on Laird Meadow Road, which is about 4 to 5 miles from the Patterson-Gimlin film site. The trackway moved down a mountain and crossed Laird Meadow Road. It then continued down an old logging landing before disappearing into the woods. The tracks were 17 inches long and about 5 inches wide, with an average stride of 52 inches. They were examined by Roger Patterson himself, who noted their impressions were embedded at least 1.5 inches deep. Patterson and other researchers who studied them believe they come from a male Sasquatch that left similar prints in the area. Sticking to Bluff Creek, our next one covers the Patterson-Gimlin film site tracks, considered by many researchers as the most important trackway ever documented. These are the prints left by Patty, the alleged Bigfoot filmed by Roger Patterson and Bob Gimlin on October 20th, 1967. After further investigating the film site, they found a series of tracks that were about 14.5 inches long, 6 inches wide, and averaged a 41-inch stride. Patterson casted 2 of what he believed were the clearest and most detailed tracks left by Patty, a right and a left print. 9 to 10 others were also casted by Canadian taxidermist Bob Titmus. The casts are said to show clear details like a mid-tarsal break and pressure ridges, indicating they were made by a flexible foot. Next up, we have the crippled foot trackway. The prints were found in Botsburg, Washington on November 24, 1969. They earned their name from the track maker's disfigured-looking right foot. Many researchers believe they were made by an injured Sasquatch dubbed Cripplefoot. The tracks were examined and casted by renowned Bigfoot researchers like Rene DeHinden, Ivan Marks, Grover Krantz, and Roger Patterson. On December 13, 1969, Dehinden and Marks discovered another trackway in the same area that consisted of 1,089 prints. The tracks were also studied by primatologist John Napier and Dr. Jeff Meldrum. Despite suspicions of hoaxing, both believed they were authentic. The Mill Creek Road tracks were discovered in January 1991 by Bigfoot researcher Paul Freeman along with Vance Orchard and Wes Summerlin. Freeman claimed he overheard some people talking about bear prints they found along Mill Creek Road, outside of Walla Walla, Washington. The trackway stretched for 6 to 8 miles. The prints were about 13.5 inches long and over 5 inches wide, with an average stride of 42 to 48 inches. When the prints were examined by Jim Hewkins, a retired Oregon Wildlife Department employee, he believed they were made by cast material attached to boots. The authenticity of these prints were highly disputed, which is understandable given the questions surrounding Freeman's credibility. However, they've yet to be officially debunked. This 3-mile-long trackway was discovered by 3 snowmobilers in the Boundary Waters, a very remote wilderness area in northern Minnesota. They filmed thousands of prints that were reportedly 17 inches long and about 8 inches wide. The trackway was in at least 1 to 2 feet of snow and were estimated to have been made 3 to 6 days before being discovered. Many researchers believe these prints revealed telling details about the track maker's behavior and locomotion. Whatever made them seem to navigate the deep snow with ease, whose movements could not be replicated. The track maker appeared to routinely pause behind trees, twist and break branches, sidestep on logs and ridges, and seemed to willingly walk through thick brush. Let us know how you'd rank these trackways, or which ones would make your top 5 list. If Bigfoot is real, then one could argue these trackways reveal some of the most consistent and telling characteristics about their behavior and movements. While some are highly controversial, we'll let you decide which ones are legit, or what they reveal about how these creatures operate in the reported habitats.
Report Roundup is now.
Alrighty, and this is our report roundup. If they're out there, it's our part of the show that updates you on the latest Bigfoot reports from major databases and across the internet. We've got some interesting ones this episode coming out of New Mexico and Missouri, a pair of bizarre sightings that happened in the UK, plus our You Decide has an update on the Washington thermal drone footage recovered in episode 9.
We're starting off by highlighting 2 recent reports on the Bigfoot mapping project. Our first one allegedly happened in northwest New Mexico on October 10th, 1995, around 5 a.m. The witness says they felt sick and stepped away from their camp. They described seeing a young, skinny teenage Bigfoot about 100 feet in front of them that was covered in cinnamon-colored hair. It was allegedly 8 feet tall and had no smell, nor did it make any noise. The witness told their father what they saw the next day and allegedly found 3 toed prints about 20 inches long. The witness thinks they got zapped, which many researchers believe is when squatches use infrasound to make people feel sick and disoriented. This next one reportedly happened on December 28 around 2:30 a.m. in southern Missouri. The witness described seeing an 8-foot-tall creature that was dark brown in color while they were mudding. This report wasn't too detailed and says they saw an alleged Sasquatch while it was, quote, walking across river at breaking trees. It allegedly stared at the witness for 3 seconds before walking up a ridge. The report's description ends with the words no trespassing, which I suppose means it walked onto private property.
So you may have already seen this TikTok video that's making rounds.
This is the second time I've come over here, and the first time when I got up under them trying to figure out what it was, they started breaking limbs off and throwing them at me, and I still cannot figure out what it is. Look, they're ruining this freaking place. What in God's name is it? It's bigger than me, whatever it is. Because it's breaking limbs off that it would take me 2 minutes.
Like I said, the footage initially surfaced on TikTok before spreading to other social media platforms. It shows what appears to be something big moving in the tree canopy. The cameraman says it sounds like gorillas fighting in the tree and believes it was stronger than a bear. While you don't actually see the alleged culprit, you can clearly see sections of the tree canopy shaking before large branches snap and fall to the ground. Now, I received 2 important details about this footage. First, this reportedly happened in northwest South Carolina, somewhere in the Anderson-Greenville County area. And to that point, I think it's worth noting that this part of South Carolina has a pretty high black bear population. Second, this video isn't new. It was initially posted on May 26, 2022. Titled "God or Sasquatch? Watch till the end," the original video was published on a YouTube channel called JeffX1414. According to the video's description, the person filmed it while fishing at an apartment lake around 11 p.m. Something else to note though, it's the channel's only video having anything to do with Bigfoot or high strangeness. I want to thank Joe Doyle from Hellbent Holler who shared this information. There's links to everything else in the video's description.
What in Jesus' name is doing this? Oh my God, he just took half the tree down.
A Daily Star article was recently posted on the Bigfoot subreddit that describes 2 eyewitness encounters of a 6-foot monkey man in the UK. Both sightings happened in the city of Cambridge over a 2-month span. The first sighting allegedly happened around midnight on October 27th by 2 cyclists. They were riding down Arbery Road and spotted a hairy ape-like creature with long arms that looked shorter than a normal person. It was initially standing on 2 legs alongside the road before running on all 4s into a field. The second sighting occurred on December 16th. According to the witness, she was walking home around 8 p.m. She described seeing a massive monkey thing that was about 6 feet tall. Upon spotting the creature, she claimed it ran on all 4s into some trees near a skate park. Both witnesses were met with skepticism and scrutiny, but claimed they were completely sober during the reported encounters. Many people, including one of the witnesses, believe it could have been a giant ape that escaped from a private collection. Now we're moving on to the You Decide part of our roundup, where we break down a notable photo, video, or other piece of potential Bigfoot evidence. Our goal here is to lay out all the facts and details so we can help you decide if it's the real deal. Here's Mike with this episode's breakdown.
So if you caught episode 9's report roundup, you might recall the thermal drone footage recovered coming out of Washington State. Well, after the episode aired, I got in touch with the individual who recorded the footage. He provided some important details and information that reinforces the report's backstory and gives it a lot more context. So to recap real quickly, the footage was posted on the Bigfoot Mapping Project earlier last month. It was reportedly taken last summer near Mount Adams in southern Washington State. He spotted 2 figures while flying his drone back to replace its batteries. The full report summarizes everything you saw with a link to the footage, plus stills and pictures of potential prints. The footage was captured by a gentleman named Virgil Sampson. He says it was taken on an Evo 2 Dual 640T made by Auto Robotics. I was fortunate to speak in depth with Virgil, who gave his first-hand account and elaborated on some key details about what happened that night.
Last July, me and some friends were camping up near, on the west side of Mount Adams. And where we were at, there was some meadows and stuff up behind us, and there was some off to our right down there. And I had taken my drone with me. As we're coming back, I noticed there was 2, I was on white hot setting. I noticed that there was 2 figures standing in a tree line at the first meadow. And as we got closer and closer, there was 4 of us that was watching this on the screen. And I pointed it out. I said, wow, there's something, right there. I don't know what that is, but so as we were getting closer and closer, they both started walking out of the meadow. They walked out into the middle of the meadow, and then they stopped. I think I got close enough. They started hearing the drone, and then all of a sudden it looked like they were squatting down. And I even said that too. I was like, wow, it looks like they're squatting down. So they went from like a human figure down into kind of a blob. It was like they were trying to hide or something.
Virgil says the drone was flying at 300 feet and filming at a 45 to 50 degree angle. After swapping the drone's batteries, he flew back to the same area, but the 2 figures had since disappeared. He flew the drone around for another hour, hoping to get them back on camera a second time to no avail. Virgil says he saw a deer or elk while flying the drone and noted how different it looked from whatever he initially recorded. For comparison, here are a few thermal drone shots of deer and elk. We'll throw in some bears and a mountain lion for good measure. Virgil and the other researchers also did a recreation after locating the meadow by identifying a fallen tree. Here's how the images from the drone footage and recreation compare. He says the stand-in was about 5 feet 6 inches tall and seems to be around the alleged juvenile's height. Using the stand-in for scale, they estimated the supposed female's height was about 8 feet. Virgil told me he had a friend of his with an extensive background in camera work review the footage and still shots they pulled. In addition to making a few observations of his own, Virgil said his friend's analysis appeared to echo some of the same details he and the other researchers noticed.
He was looking at this and he goes, you can clearly see the left shoulder, the left elbow, and the hand is resting on the leg. She's kneeling down. You can see the heat split between her knees. He said the crotch area is hot, which it normally is. He said you can see her head. You can see the infant's head, because if you take a piece of paper and you put it on top of her shoulder and you line it up to where her other shoulder should be, that this head is sticking up higher than it should be. And then another thing you notice is right here off to the right jaw of the infant, it's like it's looking across her, like here, but it's casting a shadow from his jaw down to like the collarbone area. You can see a little shadow right there. On the juvenile, it had actually, when we first started, it was facing us. So it looks like it's just kind of squatting down with its arms out. Like you can see the elbows sticking out a little bit. And you can see the head, and it looks like it's kneeling down also, or squatting. And on this one, you can see the right arm of this female. This is the picture that we pulled out. You can see the head. We think that the infant was in the same position, and what we think happened is when she squatted down, she was repositioning the infant to stay still, and then put her arm down, her left arm down on her leg, and just held it.
Virgil also says he had 4 other people review these images. Here's how he said every single one of them responded.
It's interesting. Everybody I've showed that picture to, I've showed it to 4 people. And I said, "What?" I didn't tell them anything. I said, "What do you think this is?" And they looked at it, and every single one of them said, "This looks like something holding an infant." And I said, "Dude, you've all said the same thing." But it's out there that's why I wanted to put it on the Bigfoot mapping. And like I told you earlier, I'm not a gatekeeper for this stuff. I mean, if you get it, get it out there,
While he seems to have his own stance on what it potentially shows, Virgil's final remarks in that last clip make his objectives clear. He's looking for more help to improve the quality of this footage, which he hopes will reveal additional details about the figures. I want to thank Virgil for speaking with me and sharing additional information on the thermal footage he captured. I'll keep you all updated on whether else Virgil or any subsequent analyses of this footage uncovers. Hopefully this breakdown provided enough information to help you decide if this footage is a hoax, misidentification, or the real deal. Let us know in the comments what you think it shows. Otherwise, that about does it for this episode's Report Roundup. Remember, if they're out there, you'll hear about them, and who knows, maybe the next one happens somewhere near you.
News and updates are now.
As many of you probably know, the Bigfoot Times is a monthly newsletter that's been in circulation for more than 20 years. Curated by researcher Daniel Perez, this prestigious publication is known for its Bigfooter of the Year award, which recognizes one individual who makes notable contributions to Bigfoot research, investigations, or public awareness. The recipient is chosen by Perez and gets announced every year on Christmas Day. This year's selection was revealed by Cliff Barackman, who made this video to announce the winner.
Okay, let's see here. The Canadian, let's see, I guess for the 9th time in a row, we have Kip Morrell. Oh, wait a minute, wait. I'm sorry, I can't read my own typing, I'm sorry. Todd Prescott from Canada. Todd Prescott, of course, who runs Sasquatch Archives, one of the simply most important YouTube channels on Bigfoot out there.
As Barackman noted, Prescott runs the Sasquatch Archives YouTube channel. It's a digital library Todd organized that features an extensive collection of rare audio, video, documents, and photographs related to the Bigfoot field. The Sasquatch Archives is designed to publicly display various facets of the Bigfoot phenomena in Todd's collection and/or his interest in researching. As of recording this segment, the Sasquatch Archives has over 230 videos that include contributions or feature the work of prominent Bigfoot researchers like Peter Byrne, Renee DeHinden, Jeff Meldrum, and Thomas Steenberg, just to mention a few. After being named 2024's Bigfooter of the Year, Todd posted this video on December 26. Here's a quick clip.
Most of the people on that list have influenced me in some way, shape, or form and helped me to create and keep abreast with everything to do with the Sasquatch Archives YouTube channel, which at this point in my research life, I'm probably most known for. So I have a YouTube channel called the Sasquatch Archives. Obviously, you probably know that because you're here right now. I just want to thank you very much again for that honorable distinction, Daniel, and I thank everyone for their support, and I wish you all the best in 2025.
This year, Todd posted over a dozen videos that included a redone version of Jack Webster's radio interview with Roger Patterson and Bob Gimlin, a 3-part series of Renee DeHinden revisiting the Cripplefoot Trackway site in 1989, plus Roger Patterson's 1966 interview with Fred Beck, and many other pieces of historic content. Prescott was the first Canadian to win Bigfooter of the Year since 2004, joining Chris Murphy and Renee DeHinden. Check out the video's description for links to Todd's channel, the Sasquatch Archives, and the Bigfoot Times. We'd like to congratulate Todd for being named 2024's Bigfooter of the Year and wish him continued success in 2025. We hope Todd's unrivaled dedication inspires current and future generations to continue documenting the Bigfoot field's historic past and use it as valuable resource in our common pursuit for uncovering the truth behind this mystery.
The Bigfoot community recently received some tragic news. The bodies of 2 men were found in Gifford-Pinchot National Forest 3 days after they were reported missing. The 2 individuals, aged 59 and 37, were reportedly searching for Bigfoot and planned to return home on December 24th. They were called in missing by a family member at 1 a.m. on December 25th to the Skamania County Sheriff's Office. Search and rescue efforts took 3 days. More than 60 volunteers participated in the operation and were assisted by canines, drones, ground search teams, along with aerial support from the U.S. Coast Guard. The men's vehicles were found off Oklahoma Road near Willard, Washington by a flock camera, also known as a license plate reader. Searchers braved harsh conditions as they scoured the dense terrain, including freezing temperatures, high water levels, along with snow and heavy rainfall. The Skamania County Sheriff's Office says both men were found deceased in a heavily wooded area on December 28th. According to authorities, they believe the 2 men likely perished from exposure and ill-preparedness. As of recording this segment, officials haven't released any specific details on the circumstances that led to the 2 men's disappearance, nor have their names been released, which we would not disclose out of respect for the families. Pinchot Gifford is the state's 3rd largest national forest, which covers an area of 1.32 million acres. The area received steady snow and rainfall from December 24th to 28th, with average temperatures hitting lows of 41 degrees Fahrenheit. Skamania County is located in southern Washington. It has 65 reports published on the BFRO public database, the 2nd most in Washington state. The most recent one allegedly occurred in August 2022. 16 of those 65 reports were Class A encounters. Pinchot Gifford National Forest also has a history of missing persons cases. Some in the Bigfoot community are questioning what really happened to both men. Many are doubtful that exposure and ill-preparedness were the sole causes of their demises. However, it's important to note that these theories are highly speculative. While we believe everyone is free to share their opinions on matters like this, we urge anyone to please be mindful of the families involved and respect their privacy. Whether or not you're searching for Bigfoot, these stories serve as an important reminder to never take your safety for granted. This scenario can happen to anyone, regardless of their experience or familiarity with an area, so always take any and all necessary precautions before venturing into the woods. Map out your route, research the area you're visiting, and if possible, consult local knowledge. Plan accordingly by keeping a close eye on the weather. Make sure you have enough supplies like food and water, first aid, dry clothes, fire starter, radios, and GPS. Always let someone know where you're going and when you're expected to return. Most importantly, if you ever get injured or lost, stay calm and thoroughly assess your situation, find shelter, and signal for help. Our team at the Bigfoot Journal sends our condolences to the families and asks that you please keep them in your prayers. We'll keep you updated on any new details about the story that get released.
Bigfoot Spotlight is now.
What's going on, everyone, and Happy New Year. Thanks for joining our Bigfoot Spotlight, part of our show where we highlight a few recent Bigfoot live streams, films, and events. We've got a couple of updates on some expeditions for 2025 and a magazine we recently covered. Plus, we're highlighting a huge list of Bigfoot movies and a recent podcast. Starting us off in 2025, the first issue of Gwen Purcell's Strange Knox magazine has officially been released. Featuring New Orleans voodoo queen Marie Laveau on its cover, the first issue has detailed articles on the Rougarou, Native American folklore, flying saucers, and of course its fair share of Sasquatch content. Contributors included notable names in the Bigfoot world like Carter Burchard, Brian King Sharp, and Bennett Tanton. Strange Knox is a quarterly publication. You can get a quarterly or annual subscription. Check out gotknockers.org for more details. Next, it's a video I found on YouTube spotlighting 20 Bigfoot movies titled Top 20 Creepy and Haunting Bigfoot Movies of All Time. With a title like that, I had to check out the video. If you've been looking for a list of Bigfoot movies to watch, this is the video for you. It features some well-known Bigfoot titles like Legend of Boggy Creek and Harry and the Hendersons. A few recent ones like Big Legend and Son of Bigfoot. Plus some older, less-known flicks like Night of the Demon and The Abominable Snowman. Give it a watch and let us know how many of these movies you have heard of or seen. Next is the podcast of Confessionals, episode 686, titled Bigfoot's Secret Lair. After meeting Tony in North Carolina last year, I became a fan of him and his show.
Property is easy to access by golf cart. Not all of the property, but a good portion of it is easy to access by golf cart. And that's where, most of...
In this episode, Tony speaks to filmmaker Kelly Lockman from the I Believe in Bigfoot project on YouTube. Tony and Kelly cover a variety of Bigfoot-related topics. But one interesting subject they discuss is a piece of private property in North Carolina, dubbed Bigfoot Disney World by the owners. According to Tony and Kelly, this place has been a hotspot of Bigfoot activity for years.
We go out there, and it's just Ron and I. We went out... because I didn't know where they had any luck or anything. The Squatch Watchers hadn't come out there yet. And so we just kind of winged it.
Finally, the BFRO added 5 more expeditions for 2025. The update was made by founder Matt Moneymaker on the BFRO's public Facebook page. The organization added 2 dates for North and South New Jersey, respectively happening in April and June. 2 in Washington State happening in June and August, and 1's happening in Arizona from September 25th to the 28th. With these 5 additions, that's 18 expeditions the BFRO is holding so far this year in 16 different states. All trips are open to the public. Make sure to check out the BFRO's website for more information on how to register. And that's this episode's Bigfoot Spotlight. Check out the video's description for more information on everything we covered. If you have any ideas on something we could spotlight, shoot me an email or message with the details. Take us out, Mike.
Well, that officially marks 10 episodes of the Bigfoot Journal. Not a bad way to kick off the new year. Chuck, Toby, and myself are extremely grateful for your unwavering support as we keep you informed on what happened and what's ahead in the Bigfoot world. We're really excited for everything we've got planned in 2025 and hope you stick with us for the ride. Make sure to check out the video's description for more information on the segments we covered, and if you haven't already, don't forget to like, subscribe, comment, and share here at Untold and the CARC. If you have questions, a story to share, want the CARC to investigate your Bigfoot encounter, shoot us an email or drop us a line in the comments. For Chuck Larson and Tobi Crum, I'm Mike Luci signing off. We appreciate each and every one of you for watching. We'll see you next time.
Program is distributed by the Untold Radio Network. All rights reserved.